The Call of Cthulhu is a 1928 short story by the American author H.P. Lovecraft. Lovecraft is widely considered to be one of the greatest horror writers of all time, and The Call of Cthulhu is often said to be his greatest achievement. Strictly speaking, Lovecraft's output is more accurately categorized as weird fiction, but that's not a genre with which the majority of readers are familiar nowadays. The tale consists of 3 chapters. Its narrator begins investigating what later turns out to be the Cthulhu cult after the death of his great-uncle, a professor of Semitic languages whose bequest includes a box containing a small, obviously ancient carving of a hideous monster, plus 2 clues as to its identity. One of those clues concerns a psychically hypersensitive young artist who's been having terrible dreams after a local earthquake. It turns out that other people have been having the same dream, and it always relates to the monster in the box. The second chapter describes a police inspector's pursuit of a voodoo cult. When he tracks it down, it worships an image identical to the carving in chapter 1. The inspector manages to obtain the monster's name and also to translate the chants used to venerate it. The final chapter brings everything together in a conclusion that still retains the power to shock and disturb. Not only is Cthulhu genuinely terrifying, but the reader's left with the impression that yes, given the mind-boggling vastness of the universe, such a creature could just be a reality. The story's very first paragraph anticipates that, and is one of the most profound statements of the human condition, on at least one valid interpretation, ever written. So those are the great things about The Call of Cthulhu. The downside is as shocking as I've just said the ending is, because it's arguably a racist work. I say arguably, as it stands, it definitely is. Whether it could be recast to excise the problem is another matter. Probably, but that's not the point. Of course, the story's racism isn't obvious in my summary of it. Rather, it's in the sentence-by-sentence details, so you really have to read it. What compounds the matter is that Lovecraft himself was even worse than the story on its own might suggest. If you don't believe me, try Googling Hitler or Lovecraft quiz. So given that he's widely considered to be a genius and that his influence is everywhere nowadays, what does that mean? Well, at the very least, it means not excusing or forgetting his radical shortcomings. There's a parallel problem in philosophy with Martin Heidegger, an anti-Semitic Nazi who many academics consider to be one of the greatest philosophers of the 20th century. One of the best responses to what we might as well call the Lovecraft problem has been Matt Ruff's 2016 novel Lovecraft Country, recently turned into an HBO TV series starring Jurnee Smollett and Jonathan Majors, but sadly cancelled for season 2. Ruff takes all the familiar horror tropes and turns them on their head, and exposes racism as perhaps the greatest horror of them all. I'm not sure what Lovecraft himself would have thought of that. Mind you, I'm not sure I care.